Hello and welcome to Exploited Crimes and Technology. My name is Opal Singleton, and we come to you every Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock right here on AM 590, The Answer. Well, this week I was seeing a lot of things on TV and the news and the texts and the tweets, and they come in from all angles, and I just shake my head. I don't know about you. You know, some days I think, man, I must be out of it because this all seems like some fairy tale world, some la la land that we live in. I got a Next Door, you know, it's an app like a neighborhood watch kind of thing. And they were showing these people that were partying in this house next door, not next door to me, but next door to the person that was posting it. And it was just mind-boggling. You know, it was like surreal to me. I guess I live in some alternative universe where things should be in order and right is right and wrong is wrong, and people are seeking out a moral higher ground. Remember those days? Anyway, it was amazing to me that what the Next Door post was about was their neighbor. I guess it was a rental house, and they were having a party there with over 300 people. They were lined up way down the street. This is a residential area. But they showed these women that were mostly nude. I mean, 98.8, okay, leaving 1% for the imagination, if you will, swinging on a pole. Now, how many people have a pole in their house? That was my first question. Where did they get that pole? Somebody had to erect a pole for a girl to swing on a pole. But it looked like a professional pole, quite frankly. Well, okay, I see them in the TV. What do I know about this stuff? But she was mostly nude, and there were quite a few girls running around there that were mostly nude, and obviously higher than a kite and doing things that is now being broadcast all over. And I thought to myself, where are her parents? And what kind of upbringing did she have? And will she be aware of this tomorrow? And in this day and age, will that girl pay a price socially? I mean, you know, what happens when she goes back to high school, because she's obviously a minor? And I'm listening and watching all of this, and I'm saying to myself, how does all of this work? And we had just talked about what happened over in LA not too long ago, where an entire group of teenagers, none of them appeared to be 18, just suddenly used all their devices to swarm in a convenience store, kind of like a grocery store, and maybe a Circle K, probably, I think it was. And the thing that caught my attention was there was a young man working behind the counter, and he feared for his life. Now, I would guess that almost nobody that was charging that store was any older than he was. But here's a young man who wants to earn a living and have some moral fortitude and do what is right. And he has a mob of 70 or 80 kids who are, you know, coming together in what they call a swarm and coming into a store. Now, he ended up hiding in the bathroom, and somehow they didn't get to him. But I thought to myself, what a juxtaposition this is about the multitude on the outside trying to take whatever they can take simply because they can, and one on the inside who wants to do what's right. And as I see all this, I try to understand what is the thinking and how did we get there? And I was reading another article as I was preparing for my show today about spring break. One of them was in Florida and the other one was Cancun. Now I like to go to Cancun. We have a all-inclusive that we go to once in a while down there. And you know, it's a very safe part of Cancun where I go. And it's a beautiful setup, and I love to go there. But it is not a setup where spring breakers go. And as I'm reading these articles, it's going on and on about how they all get blasted out of their mind and cheer them on to take their clothes off and, do the dance and like that. And some of them end up ODing and they lose their life, and others of them get raped and others of them disappear. But thousands of them have apparently a very great time. I do wonder what kind of parent puts their child on an airplane to go off when they're not an adult, to go off to something that is in that setting. And you say, you be careful on that, okay? You do what's right. And you're like, right. When you put 20,000 kids going off to Cancun, where the drinking laws are different, you're going to end up with some kids doing very bizarre acts. I share that with you because this show is brought to you by an organization called Million Kids, MILLION, millionkids.org. And for the last 15 years, I've worked with kids. I've worked with adults too. But I go into schools a lot and I train and I talk to kids. And I'm going to tell you, most of the kids I met are not looking like the kids that I see swinging on a pole at a neighbor's house. Most of them are sincere, hardworking people. And I think to myself, how challenging it is to be a young person today, especially on some of these campuses. I think my school had 600 or 800 people in it. And that felt intimidating at times, but many of our kids go to schools that have 3,000 and 4,000 kids on a campus, and some are gang members and some are, got different agendas. But most of the kids that I meet there are good, hardworking kids in a very competitive environment who really want to change the world and want to be somebody and do something good. I have this conversation because one of the things I do when I go into schools is talk to kids about sexting and sending nudes where they end up being blackmailed. Sextortion is the common word that we use for that. And I say to myself, what brings a young person to be willing to send a naked photo online in a very short period of time of talking to someone they don't know, and they are so easily seduced and groomed that these kids, within a matter, many of them in less than an hour, will send off a naked photo or a nude or a provocative photo of some sort and never think anything about that. And I always wonder what the psychology is there. Why, how, I sometimes say, and this may seem bizarre to you, but can you imagine your 18-year-old or your 15-year-old goes to the mall and meets somebody and you're saying, hey, baby, you're hot. You meet me in the bathroom, we'll both strip nude. We'll take pictures of ourselves and hand them to each other, or text them to each other. You wouldn't do that in person. If you say that to a kid, they go, oh, gross, And yet the very same young person can be seduced into doing things like swinging on a pole or participating in a striptease down at the bar in Cancun or Fort Lauderdale, or send a nude photo off to someone they've never met, but they find intriguing and you want to impress them. Well, I started looking up to see if this is a progressive thing and what is impacting our society to make this happen. So I started looking. This number is back to 2018. I found some back to 2011. Interesting enough, I didn't see a lot between 2012 and 2018, and I'm wondering why not. But anyway, this one is put out by JAMA Pediatrics, a survey. This was 2018, so what's that, 5 years ago now? And they're saying 15% of teens say they had sent a nude or a sext, and 27% had received them. So this is an older survey. Okay, I'm looking at 2020 now. This is put out by Thorn. I have a lot of respect for Thorn. That is Ashton Kutcher's organization. I'm a little jealous. He has a lot more money than I do, but he uses his money for good, and I'm very, very proud of him. There's so many celebrities that do not. So he did a survey that sharing nudes doubled among preteens. Preteens, get that? 9, 10, 11, 12, that kind of thing. And sharing nudes doubled in 2020. And so we're going to take a look at the next section here when we come back after our break. We're going to take a look at how this is escalating. And we're going to talk a little bit about where they go and why that's a problem. This is Opal. We're up against that break. Be right back.
Are you tired of eating at the same old restaurants? Let me tell you about a fabulous Italian restaurant we found in Riverside, Mamma Mia's Italian Restaurant. Their caprese salad is exquisite with candied balsamic glaze. All of their sauces are special recipes using only the best olive oils. The salads are fresh and healthy. They offer a wonderful array of pastas, including shrimp scampi, capellini, bolognese, and lasagna. They're famous for their gourmet pizza, and you can order online for takeout or have a special date for dining in with family and friends. Mamma Mia's caters special occasions and host private events. You have to try it out. Mamma Mia's Italian Restaurant, located at 10971 Magnolia Avenue in Riverside, 1 block north of La Sierra on Magnolia. That's Mamma Mia's in Riverside. Be sure to tell Michael, Alex, or Joseph you heard it on AM 590 The Answer.
Hello, this is Opal Singleton of MillionKids.org. I believe the 4 most powerful words on earth are I believe in you. So we created a challenge coin that says, I believe in you on one side and stand tall, you are loved on the other side. This one-of-a-kind challenge coin is a perfect gift for birthdays, anniversaries, graduation, Christmas presents, or just an anytime gift for someone you love. What a powerful message for a parent or a grandparent to give to a young person. This 2-inch coin is made of polished gold. It's striking to look at, and it is priceless to hold. It is packaged in a beautiful black velvet gift box. What a great way to leave a legacy of love that will last forever. To purchase this coin, go to millionkids.org/gallery. Each coin is $25. Go to millionkids.org/gallery to purchase and give a legacy of love.
Real estate sales in the Inland Empire are really hot. Sellers and buyers recognize that these low interest rates will not last. Sean and Colleen at Caldwell Banker Armstrong Properties in Riverside are proud to sponsor this show. They are the best in the Inland Empire. They're fair, honest, creative, and they care about you and your situation. If you're in the market to buy or sell a home, call Sean and Colleen at 951-529-4066.
AM 590, The Answer.
Hello and welcome back to Exploited Crimes and Technology. This is Opal Singleton, and we're talking about the trend that is taking place and a young person's willingness to either strip off or at least get nude on camera and send that out to someone online. So a new survey came out in 2020. We're going to go back into 2022 here in a minute. But Thorn, which is Ashton Kutcher's organization, he came out with a new research, or they did, a technology nonprofit dedicated to defending children from online sexual exploitation. We'll give them a shout out. They found that twice as many children between the ages of 9 and 12 reported sending nudes or other self-generated child sexual abuse materials. That is a fancy word for child pornography. You see, when I talk with kids, what they don't seem to understand is when they take a picture of themselves in a sexual or provocative or nude setting, they are creating child pornography. And when they share that with somebody, they're distributing it. And there are laws against that. And there's also a world full of really not so nice people who would like to get their hands on that material once you get it posted online. So once you do that, you are putting yourself in a highly, highly vulnerable situation that will change your life for the rest of your life. And that is the work of Million Kids, is to help parents and young people understand you get that photo out there to the wrong people, It can go out to 1 million people in less than a minute or two if you get into the wrong child pornography ring. And it's out there forever. You cannot get it back. That we read story after story about, somebody who did that when they were 12 or 13. Now they're doing it when they're 9 and 10 and 11 because they know how, and somebody gives them a device so they can. And they certainly do not have the wherewithal in that adult mentality when you're 9 years old to understand how this is going to change your life for the rest of your life. You start to turn 18 and you think you're going to go off to college, and they run a search of you online. And guess what? Those pop right up. You want to go in the military, same kind of thing. You're wanting to maybe get a scholarship to a great university. And there you are for all to see, showing how good your judgment really was. Well, so Thorn is saying that literally between the ages of 9 and 12, they doubled the amount of individuals that were sending nudes, or child pornography than in 2020. The research, they call this research self-generated child abuse material, youth attitudes and experiences, is one of the few studies of its kind monitoring changes in a minor's behavior and attitudes related to this. Now, I want to go on and give you some information about this. They're saying more kids are reporting that they're sharing nudes, and especially the LGBTQ youth were nearly 5 times as likely to share their own self-generated CSAM material than their non-LGBTQI and their peers. Sharing of nudes was up across nearly all demographic variables related to gender, age, and sexual identity, according to this report. The report said that 17% of all kids ages 9 to 17 say they have already shared nudes. That's almost 20%, 1 out of 5 kids. If you have 5 kids at home, look around. Take it. Which one is it? 6% increase from 2019. It's more pronounced among preteens. Well, I believe that's partly because after COVID, especially, and during COVID, more prepubescent children were given devices. And I'm saying that anytime you put a prepubescent child online that does not understand what a pedophile is and why somebody wants their photo, they are a sitting duck for being taken advantage of by some bad guy because they don't have adult cognitive reasoning. And I sometimes share this example. I shared it once with a lady who was telling me about her daughter. And by the way, she looked like a great lady and a very caring mother. And she was really proud of her little daughter because she's, got 1 million TikTok followers. Well, that's not that many. A lot of people now on TikTok will have 5 million like that. But I'm saying, how old's your daughter? Well, she's 11. And I bet she's cute as a bug based on how cool this mother was. And the mother was truly cool. She was really a great lady. But I'm sharing with her, let's think about this. I'm not saying you're right or wrong, but if your daughter has 1 million people following her on a TikTok video, what percentage are bad guys? And I can guarantee you the number's at least 1 million. The FBI said at any given time, there are 500,000 pedophiles online at any given time. Now, keep in mind, with TikTok, you don't have to be online while they're performing and seeing them because those TikTok videos go out there and you can always reach back to the people that are making that video. So if you have 1 million of something and at least 10,000 of them are pedophiles, how does a prepubescent child figure out how to protect themselves? Not to be lured in. The reason these kids are posting this stuff is it's a way for them to go out to the entire world and be recognized. And I suppose that's good if you're playing the violin. that, that if you're not playing the violin and you're taking your clothes off, that's not good. Okay? Because suddenly you have a lot of people who want bad for you. And on top of it, you'll never get those photos back. But even worse, they have ways of knowing who you are. There's a lot of talk right now about AI, artificial intelligence. And people say, what's that all about? Well, it's a very deep and complex subject. But let's talk about what it's about if you have a 9-year-old kid. Nothing is sacred in AI anymore. If you have Alexa, or Siri, they know all about you. Google Earth knows exactly where you live. Your refrigerator knows how often you open it. Your car knows how fast you go and where you're going and where you're stopping. And your geolocation devices do the same. Then they want you to agree to cookies while they record everything about you. And that's true of your child. Literally, a predator can create a profile that will match your child's profile so that they can seduce them in. And that's where this is going. You see, the reason I do the work I'm doing is I believe how we teach young people and parents and grandparents, grandma and grandpa, how you come to understand the world you're living in is so critical today because we're just getting started. Think about how simple life was 5 years ago when you only had Facebook. You didn't worry so much about AI and all this, you're just starting in the tweeting and all that sort of thing. But think about how crazy it is now. Just imagine where it's going to be 2 years from now, or 5 years, or 10 years from now. You see, I believe how we teach these kids to live in this world with respect and responsibility will set the stage for all future generations. Think about this. If your kid is 16 years old and sending nudes, what's going to happen when they're 22 and have 3 kids? Are they going to start to see it a little bit different? Because by that time, the technology is going to be so complex that very few of us will know how to protect children. And it's the way that we're headed out to that we have to take a look at. So sharing of nudes was up across all demographic variables related to gender, age, and sexual identity, from finding that 17% of all kids, almost 1 out of 5, say they've already shared a nude. That's a 6% increase from 2019 when COVID was starting. This increase was more pronounced among preteens, 9 to 12 years old, and more pronounced among preteens and boys. It's an increasing perception of normalcy around sharing nudes among preteen boys in particular. 1 in 4 boys aged 9 to 12 said that it was normal to share nudes, and a 10% increase from last year. I'm going to say that again, Mom and Dad, in case you missed it. Take a look in the backseat of your car if you're driving down the road and listening to this. 1 in 4 boys aged 9 to 12 said it was normal to share nude photos online. And that's more than a 10% increase from last year. If this doesn't scare the socks off of you, what's going to do it? Okay, my name is Opal Singleton. We are up against that break, so I'm going to ask you to stay with us. We'll be right back.
Societal Shift, A World Without Borders and a Home Without Walls. This is the most important book you will read this year, especially if you have children or grandchildren. We are living at the most important time in all of history. In 2020, the entire world will be connected by internet, more than 6 billion people coming together. Technology will provide many great advantages for our kids, but a world without borders for our kids is also a world without borders for pimps, predators, pedophiles, cartels, and organized crime. It is a home without walls because 87% of the kids sleep with their phone. It is the greatest societal experiment of all time. Our kids are technology geniuses. and their parents are technophobic. Some are techno-impotent. New apps come with no warnings on how a predator will use them against our kids. Advancing technologies like encrypted messaging, vaporware, artificial intelligence, cryptocurrency, and the dark net will challenge law enforcement, teachers, and parents to keep kids safe. Recent research states that 9,000 kids a day are being blackmailed with a naked photo, and 58% will meet their predator. It is indeed a societal shift, and one in which most parents are unprepared. If you are a parent or grandparent, teacher, counselor, or social worker, please take time to read Societal Shift. Only $18.99 plus $6 shipping. Order today at millionkids.org. That's millionkids, millionkids.org. It'll be the greatest gift you can give your family and yourself. Order Societal Shift today. Million Kids takes checks and credit cards. Opal Singleton, the author, will personally sign the book and send it to you. Again, go to millionkids.org and order Societal Shift today. Join Million Kids. Keep our kids safe from predators.
Hello and welcome back to Exploited Crimes and Technology. This is Opal Singleton. I'm the president and CEO of millionkids.org. I also serve as the training and outreach coordinator for the Riverside County Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force. I have this show because I want to educate parents and kids all about how to keep your kids safe from predators, whether it's a pimp trying to seduce your 14-year-old daughter into prostitution, or it's somebody from the Ivory Coast that's luring in your 16-year-old kid online in a video game chat room, or as I'm saying right here, your little 9-year-old boy who thinks it's cool to send a nude. So I'm going to go back to the last line because I want to take it off into the rest of their research, which I find absolutely interesting. In this case, one more time, I will say 1 in 4 boys aged 9 to 12 said it was normal to share nudes. So the next statement I want to make clear, because if you're not familiar with how all of this works, you might get confused. That next statement says the number of people using secondary accounts, I'll tell you what that is in a minute, was up among 9 to 12-year-olds who also reported a drop in regular following online safety rules. What am I talking about? Well, you give your kid a phone and you say, now you be careful on that thing, and I'm going to check it. But of course, you get busy. And besides that, they start adding apps you never heard of. And you don't know how to check those apps. And they know you don't know how to check those apps, which is why they get it. I was looking at a case earlier today when I was doing some research, and it was a fascinating thing. In fact, I think I have it right here. It was the story of groups of pedophiles that were tricking kids, and they were called, and in fact, I'll just share it with you. They were called the Hunters. Inside of their life, they called themselves the Board Group, but these are BORED, by the way. But these guys, they're all tech experts. They're all married. They all have children, and there were 9 of them, and they formed this group where they tricked thousands of young girls into sending off nude photos. And once they did, their lives just became living crap. I don't know what I can say on the air, but you get it. Okay. Now, in the end, all 9 of the guys were convicted, and they were reduced to tears in the courtroom because they had no idea they were about to spend the rest of their life in prison. They were all married with children of their own, and they're doing this. Every one of them, the least sentence was 30 years. Some of them got 40 years, and they're already in their 40s. One of them, the ringleader, was actually beat up and murdered inside the prison, thrown down a set of stairs after being stabbed and beaten and kicked and like that. The other one was attacked, but he survived it. But the reason I got off on this tangent is that whenever I see a case like this, I try to understand how did they do it so that I can train you, the parent, and teachers and young people how this works. In this case, they were using an app named Stickam, Stickam app. Okay. Now, I'd be willing to bet you, mom and dad, you've never heard of it. I work in this business and I've heard of it, but not really. And so I kind of had to look it up. So when you look at your child's phone and you see an app on there that you don't understand, everybody needs to stop in their track and sit down and have a real heart-to-heart. How did this happen? How did this app get on here? Now, you and I are going to Google this app and we're going to look and find out what it's all about. And I'm going to understand it. And I'm going to install it on my phone. And I'm going to mirror everything you do on it because you have put an app on your phone that I did not previously approve. And when I got you the phone, we agreed you would not put apps on it unless I was involved. And you have done that. So now you're going to train me. Let's look it up. What is Stickam? Show it to me. Show me all your conversation. Teach me how to do it. And I'm going to put it on my phone, or better yet, I'll borrow your phone back and we'll take it off. And it needs to be strong like that because these kinds of apps can end up taking your child's life. So in this case, they also use Discord. What does that tell you, Mom and Dad? That these young girls are playing on video game chat rooms. So you might be looking at a dating app like My Laugh Out Loud or maybe some of the others that they're doing, but you forget that they're in a video game chat room talking to people they don't know. And they can exchange all kinds of photos and images and all kinds of hookups on that kind of thing. Now, this group used fake profiles and stolen pictures of teen boys to set up websites to attract the girls. So they set up their own websites using other people's photos to get the girls to go on those websites. They also hung out in chat rooms. I wonder how these guys even had time. They had hundreds and hundreds of victims. And I wonder how they even had time to do their day work, let alone take care of their family. Their primary hunting grounds, this is why I'm showing you, wanting to share this with you, Mom and Dad. Their primary hunting grounds was Gifyo, Gifyo. Ever heard of that? Bet you haven't. These kids were on Gifyo, Periscope, YouNow, and My LOL. If you've never been on those sites, go on them. If you have teenage kids or preteen, now is the problem, look those up. Gifyo, Periscope, YouNow, and My LOL. And after you look them up, then put on their Predator and see how often predators kick. K-I-K is a very popular one for these kinds of things. Well, the reason I'm taking the time for this is because they're saying that not only is it a great increase in the number of 9 to 12-year-old boys, 1 in 4 say it's normal to share nudes when they're 9 to 12, but on top of it, they had secondary accounts that the parents did not know about. Now, the real accounts, for instance, the word Instagram, the real Instagram is called a Rinsta. If you come across that word, Rinsta, because it's real Instagram. But if they have a fake Instagram account, then it's called a Finsta, Finsta. And what they're doing, something very similar you hear me talk about, if your child comes home and they have a calculator on the front of their phone, don't think they're adding and subtracting. That is what they call a vault that hides other apps. And if you see that on there, you simply take the phone and say, okay, I need the password, or you're not getting your phone back. And you get the password because that app, that calculator app, is a vault app meant to hide other apps that your child is living another life without including you. And once they start down that path, that tells you right then and there that they're willing to live another life that they're not going to share with you. And that's a huge warning sign in this kind of thing. Usually what happens when I suggest that if a parent's getting a phone, a lot of parents will say, well, how old should my child be? And the first thing I say is, have you had that important talk with them? Because if they're too young and the parent will come back, I don't want to traumatize them, I don't think they're ready yet, then they're not ready for a phone. If they're too young for that adult talk, they're too young for a phone. It's that simple, because you are putting them in an environment where they don't know what they're up against. They have no understanding why somebody wants what they want and where that is going to go. And what they're saying is the use of the secondary accounts between 9 and 12 years old was also greatly increased. Among the respondents ages 9 to 17 who reported sharing nudes, 50% reported sending nudes to someone they never met in real life. 50%, okay? And 41% believed they were sending the images to an adult. That represents a significant increase year over year, where 37% of kids in 2019 said they had shared nudes with someone they only knew online. This shows, and I want to give credit to what I'm reading here. This is from the Thorn Foundation, Thorn. Thorn is the name of the foundation that Ashton Kushner runs. And every now and then they put out research material. And I just felt like this material is so important that we really needed to share it with you. But I want to make sure they get the credit for it. Is saying this increased dramatically with the pandemic that's on it. But it also reflects the changes in thinking of our young people of whether or not they perceive sending nude photos online is going to put them in a place of danger. Even more important, it doesn't seem to occur to them that it's going to put them in a place of embarrassment and compromise, and maybe even compromise their life. We're up against that break. Be right back. Hello, this is Opal Singleton of Exploited Crimes and Technology. I want to tell you about a book I wrote called Seduced, The Grooming of America's Teenagers. It's all about how predators access, groom, recruit, and exploit our young people using social media, online gaming, video chat rooms. Technology is changing at the speed of light, and we have to understand how to keep our kids safe from predators. So you can get this book by going to www.millionkids.org. It's $16. I'll sign it and I'll ship it to you personally. We hope that you will order this book, educate yourself about how to keep our kids safe in this day of changing technology. Join us each Saturday for our radio show at Exploited Crimes and Technology at 3 o'clock on AM 590. The Answer.
Custom Service Systems, a proud supporter of Million Kids, is a family-owned and operated commercial cleaning company servicing the Inland Empire and surrounding areas since 1974. CSS takes pride in their ability to maintain the business facilities they serve and their long-lasting relationships with their valued clients. CSS provides a variety of cleaning systems customized to client needs, including deep cleaning and disinfectant to be COVID-19 compliant. From basic office cleaning to windows and floors, CSS will clean up your mess so you don't have to stress. Custom Service Systems cares about families and communities and wants to give back. Custom Service Systems are proud supporters of Million Kids to keep kids safe from predators. If you need the best cleaning services for your business or corporation, contact Custom Service Systems at cssclean.com. Again, cssclean.com, or call 951-781-9345. That's 951-781-9345. You will know you found the best. Custom Service Systems.
Hello, this is Opal Singleton of Exploited Crimes and Technology. Let me tell you about my friend Doris Anderson at Remax Realty in Upland. She is amazing. She's kind, she's patient, but she listens. And she's informed, and she will help you with your real estate transaction in a way that works for you. Doris, in full disclosure, often supports the work of Million Kids because she cares about young people. But she knows how to analyze a market, how to market a property, and how to find just the right transaction for both buyers and sellers. If you're looking to buy or sell real estate or invest in income property, contact Doris Anderson at Remax Realty, 951-733-8899. That's 951-733-8899. 951-733-8899.
AM 590. The Answer.
Hello and welcome back to Exploited Crimes and Technology. This is Opal Singleton, and we're talking about the psychology and the behavioral changes taking place in online sexting or sextortion. I saw a new article that came out. I don't have all of it, but it was printed by Statista. And you usually have to buy those, and I haven't had time to do it, although I often do that sort of thing. So I have the latest statistics. But they say a 2022 survey of online users in the US, sexting is the most prevalent among millennials than any other age group. About 1 out of every 4 millennials reported sending some sort of nude or sexting type image out there. In 2023, around 77% of responders aged 19 years and older have sent a sext in the United States, while around 88% has received one. So this, I'd like to kind of preface with it a little bit. And that is, if you received one, it may not have been of your choice. One of the things that is happening and that is really, really scary is that foreign national countries that are very, very poor are now bringing in their very poor kids and putting them online to seduce our kids so that they can get money. This is all about money laundering back to third world countries is what it's about. And very quickly, these young people get caught up in it. But I am surprised to see that they're saying 77% have sent it in the United States. It's a whole nother ballgame about getting it. They're saying 88% have received some sort of sexting type communication. It really is a different world that we're putting our kids in. I saw an older survey, and they asked kids, why are you doing this? They're saying out here, teen age girls have a few reasons. 40% thought it was a joke. 34% did do it to feel sexy. Hello. And 12% feel pressured to do it. So who will see it? 17% of sexters share the message they receive. 55% of them share that with more than one person. So this is a big deal on the high school and junior high campuses. And yes, more middle school kids are getting caught up in it, as you saw, 9 to 12 years old on there. Nearly 40% of all teenagers have posted or sent sexually suggestive messages. Now, that is, 6 years ago that I think this is put in. And so look how it's become the norm in our society. So one of the things I wanted to add in here is that this has tremendous impact on kids and their emotions, because this kind of whiplashes in a way that a child never, ever intended. You have to know that if a 12-year-old girl or a 13-year-old girl is sending out an image of her nude body, that she is hoping that somebody's going to say, oh, honey, you're beautiful. And, say good things about it. She would never send it if she could just see where this is really going to go on. But this gets absolutely brutal. I work in the business and I see when kids get victimized. And when you get into middle school and high school, this can get absolutely brutal. Kids have to drop out of school, be homeschooled, have to move away, have to start all over. They can't get the nudes off there. Other people see it. Even if they do move away, a lot of times at the next school, they see it. And they get taunted, they get rejected, they get, all kinds of sexual ovations given to them. Their lives are changed forever. A psychological study that I saw here said that they do it because it gives them a dopamine high. I think that that's true. When you get into a fantasy relationship, it's very, very addictive. None of us want to live in reality, quite frankly. And but you also get this, kind of escape from reality and sense of being near perfect or being especially valuable. And, that everybody likes to be loved. Everybody likes to have that center of attention. Everybody likes to think that, people admire them. But when especially a preteen goes this route, they're starting out very, very young, putting themselves up in ways that they can get horribly emotionally brutalized by other people, especially at school. And in many cases, it's life-changing. One of the things that we're seeing are more and more teen suicides related to this. And by the way, more and more male teen suicides related to this. Because what is happening in these cases is third world countries are putting their kids online, luring our kids in. And I am blown away the number, especially young males, on a video game chat room that forgets that live streaming works both ways, or they think they're in a hot and heavy relationship, and they will send that photo over in a blink of an eye without ever thinking about where this is going to lead and how quickly they can be destroyed. And unfortunately, the technology is now in places like Nigeria and the Ivory Coast and Pakistan, and they will hound our children for money, big money. This is about making big money for organized crime in third world countries. And that child will panic and attempt to take their own life or take their own life. Folks, we're playing for keeps here, and we need to stop and pay attention to what is happening. I believe parents more than ever need to educate yourself and educate your teenagers about the world we live in. And that's why I wrote the book, Societal Shift, A World Without Borders, A Home Without Walls. I want the public to understand just how vital this whole thing is, that your child get through their teenage years without doing that. And when we hand them that device, we need to stay with them, check it and check it daily, have the conversations, and make it a time of leadership for them. I know you wouldn't do this. I know other kids do, but I know you wouldn't. But just in case, I'm going to be part of your life, and that includes your device life. I'm paying for it, and we're going to do this together because I want you to make it through your teenage years without a naked photo online and without somebody harassing you and taking away your future opportunities. More important, someone that can actually hurt you and hurt you emotionally at school or with your friends. We're going to do this together. Folks, I want to thank you for those of you that listen to this show and that support our work. The donations that you send just mean the absolute world to me. I see them as soon as they post online, and they just mean everything. We cannot do this work without you. This is tough, tough work. All this research, all this training, but more important, doing the intervention and making sure that law enforcement gets involved and your child is safe online. By the way, if you see at some point that your child is talking to a bad guy online, do not go on and alert them. They may come back out and try to harm you. Remember, they have artificial intelligence. They're going to know where you live. So don't go online and warn them. Go directly to your cybercrimes unit. Take your child, take all the evidence, don't delete it, and don't warn them that you're doing it, and make sure that you get law enforcement intervention. If you don't have an urgent case and you want to report something online, you think somebody you know is doing this or someone is a victim, you can do that at 1-888-3737-888. 1-888-3737-888. Now, if you have an emergency or somebody's life's at stake or it's very critical that you get immediately and get some attention, go to your police department and file and ask for cybercrimes. Bring all the evidence. Don't delete it. Don't share it with everybody. That's your child's personal dignity. And take your kid by the arm and by the shoulder and let them know that you're proud of them. I don't care if they're 6 feet tall and 17 years old. It's okay. Let them know that you love them, you're proud of them, and you're going to help them get through with it. And if it's somebody who wants money and a lot of it, please pay close attention. These overseas telemarketing companies are just awful to our kids, and our kids panic. So they need you to be the leader, but let's start out first by having the right conversations and making our kids leaders for what they're doing, but make sure they're there, that you can intercede if they get themselves in trouble. My name is Opal Singleton. This organization is millionkids.org. I appreciate anybody who wants to write to me or donate to our organization. You can write to me at Opal, OPAL, at millionkids.org. You can make that donation just by going on to millionkids.org/donate. And you can also sign up for our newsletter to help us find our missing and runaway kids, and also to keep yourself educated so you can be a leader. Have a great week, folks. Put your arms around each other, love each other, and tell each other how proud you are. I'll see you next Saturday at 3 o'clock.
This message is all about Million Kids, the organization that helps locate missing kids throughout Southern California and educates to keep kids safe from predators. Million Kids educates school administrators, teachers, parents, and teenagers how predators identify a potential victim and the methods they use to recruit innocent kids. BMW of Riverside is a proud supporter of Million Kids. Visit BMW of Riverside at the Adams Street exit off the 91 freeway or click bmwofriverside.com.